candidates. I know that y'all have gone to probably about, I don't know, what, 10 forums or something like that. So we really, really do appreciate your time. Different orgs have different groups of folks that they can bring out. So we just want to thank the candidates. We know it's a lot of time and effort running for office. So give it up for all of our candidates tonight. Well, if y'all don't know me, my name is Lisette Rodriguez. I'm an organizer with Common Cause North Carolina. We're a nonpartisan voting rights organization, and we do a lot of work around voting rights, gerrymandering, and just protecting y'all when you go to the polls. And tonight we also have here in partnership with our organization, Democracy NC, and yes, come up. Ladora Thompson over here, she's the organizer with Democracy NC. And then we also have Common Defense. We have Tanya with Common Defense over here. And then we have Angela Malloy with Fayetteville Freedom For All. She's over here. And so before we get started, I wanted to give a quick chance for our partner organizations to come up here to give a little spiel about what they do in case you're interested in connecting with their organization. So first I'll ask Ladora from Democracy NC to come up to tell y'all more.
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Hope you're ready to get some information. I am Dr. Ladora Thompson. I'm with Democracy NC. I'm the Southeastern Region organizer for the Southeastern Region. I'm here today to talk to you about what we are. Democracy NC is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We specialize, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. We specialize in getting out the voter education and engagement. We want to make sure everyone has fair access to the elections and to polls, and that all voters are served equally, regardless of party or affiliation. So we're that kind of organization, and we care about getting out the vote. Tonight, I'm here to tell you about voting and why it matters. It's actually your power, it's your superpower. If you want to think of yourself as superheroes, it is your superpower. We have a lot of things that are working against us in our world today, but what's really important is that no matter what is working against us, you show up. Because when you show up, you show out, and you can overpower whatever it is working against you when it comes to being at the polls. Because if you don't show up, it isn't like the decisions aren't going to be made without you. So your power is to show up and vote, and that is what matters. And you should definitely try to get that done now, since we're in voting right now. Just some dates that you should be aware of. Early voting begins October 16th in Kimberly. We have absentee ballot deadline is October 21st. We have early voting ending on November 1st at 3 p.m. Election day is November 4th, and polls open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And you can vote early at Clifton Rec Center, Kiwanis Rec Center, and the Board of Elections office on Fountain Head Lane. If you are interested, make sure you bring your ID and check your registration status. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm also going to ask Tanya from Common Defense to share a little bit about their organization. You can come on.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya, and I am an organizer with Common Defense. We are the largest grassroots organization of progressive veterans. We hold trainings, education, and advocacy events around Fayetteville and other parts of the state. We're a national organization. We are a community of veterans that stand up for our communities against the rising tide of racism, hate, and violence.
Thank you. And then lastly, I'll invite Miss Angela Malloy with Fayetteville Freedom For All to share a little bit about that organization.
Good evening, everyone. Fayetteville Freedom For All started out as a grassroots community-based organization dedicated to fight for human rights and equity for all. Our mission is to educate, inspire, recruit activists and organizers to fight for a future where everyone has access to health care, housing, a living wage, clean water and air, equal justice, bodily autonomy, fully funded public education, love, and safety. We create systemic and structural change, centering impacted community members, and partnering with local and state organizations, nonprofits, mutual aid groups, workers' unions, and like-minded politicians around Cumberland County, North Carolina. And currently we have had, we've been a group for about 2 years now, 3 years. We have grown to now officially have members. And beginning in January, we will be putting out information where if you're interested in what I just described and you would like to join us, we would have information. If you follow the Facebook page for Fayetteville Freedom For All, if you're not on social media, we do have a email listserv that we can add your name to so that you can find a way that you can join us as we continue this fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to our moderator, Dr. Rob Tabor. He is a professor at FSU, but today he is just here as Dr. Rob Tabor. So I will throw it to him to let the candidates know how things will be run tonight, as well as the audience. Thank y'all so much.
All right, thank you so much for that. Okay, good evening. Thank you all for joining us here this evening. Just a brief reminder about the rules. You'll have all an opportunity to do a 1-minute opening statement, 1-minute closing statement for the city council candidates. Ms. Jensen will hold you here for a little while longer to ask you a few more questions. Each candidate has up to 3 rebuttals. You'll also have 1 time of your choosing when you can ask a question of your opponent if your opponent is here. So currently that's only District 8. We'll see how the evening goes. You can ask a question for up to 30 seconds. Answer is up to 1 minute. I will swap around who answers first, but every candidate will have the opportunity to answer every question. Any questions for me before we begin? No, nothing good. Okay, so we'll begin with the opening statements, starting with Mr. Thomas and then going on down the line from there. 1-minute opening statements. Take it away, Mr. Thomas.
Hello. Hey everybody, I'm James Thomas. I was born and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina, District 1 specifically, Howard Hall, Palm Forest Middle, Palm Forest High. Got my bachelor's at North Carolina A&T in 2021, Aggie Pride, and I'm working on my master's at Wake Forest for project management. And that's gonna be it about me. I actually wanted to spend the rest of my time saying thank you. I would like to thank the people that voted for me to get me into the general election. I would like to thank the new people that joined my team afterwards and helped me canvass. I like to thank the poll workers. I like to thank my boy Tyler for running my social media. And I would like to thank Miss Kathy Grace for just overall being a mentor through Fayetteville PAC and helping me be the change that I want to see and raising me up since 2019 to be the person standing before you today. So thank you all.
Thank you. More faces.
Good evening. My name is Gail Morphasis. I'm your candidate for District 2, and I just want to have this opportunity to meet you. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for the moderators, and thanks for the introductions too, because the only way we can make progress in life is to meet people and link our hands together and try to work hard for our community. I was not born here, but don't hold that against me. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I have lived here for 32 years, and I was a professor at UNC, and I worked at FSU and FTCC, and I'm a business owner, and beyond that, I'm a taxpayer. So I understand your concerns, and I hope to get to know every one of you and get to talk with you more.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Derek Thompson, the City Councilman from District 6. And District 6 is on the southwest side of Fayetteville. So if you're over there by the VA, I got somebody over here. So if you're from the VA hospital down to Bingham Drive, everything's southwest going towards the Hope County and Hope Mills. That is in my district. I'm retired military, 21 years. I retired from the post office, 15 years. I was the president of one of the largest HOAs in the city, Raconda. I got thrown into this position almost 4 years ago. It was not something that I aspired to do, but it was something that was put on my doorstep. and I hope to continuously serve my district well. I have something that we call a chat and chew, where I engage with everybody from my district, at least 19 of the 33 communities that I have, to keep them engaged and keep them informed, and to keep them transparent on what to expect from me and what I expect from them. Because out of everybody sitting here, one thing I tell everybody is, it takes a community to keep a city safe. If we're going to talk about something, let's talk about safety first, because I don't think any city wants to be desirable if we're all not safe.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Johnson.
Good evening to everyone, and again, thank you for having this and inviting me to come. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Kathy Keith Johnson, and I have been representing District 1 for 12 years for the city of Fayetteville. That district consists of the north side of Fayetteville. As many of you know now, I'm putting my hat in to run for mayor. I am a mother. I am a military brat, I'm a military spouse, I'm a business owner over 35 years here in Fayetteville. What I will tell you is that I am from Fayetteville. I moved away, I traveled the world with my husband as a military spouse and came back to Fayetteville to raise my family. I have 6 children, 2 grandchildren, 4 children that I raised here in Fayetteville. None of them are coming back here. And that was my call to action when I decided, especially to run for mayor.
Thank you.
Sorry, my time's up. More later.
Well, thank you. Yes, my name is Kathy Greggs, and I'm an Army combat veteran here in the city of Fayetteville. I have done volunteer work ever since I got out of the Army here in 2014. I have done work with Common Cause for redistricting. I have done work with Democracy NC to protect voters at the voting sites. I have worked with the NOW, and I have been in federal service. I work on Fort Bragg as a GS employee, and no, I'm not furloughed right now, but all my work has been volunteered. And I want to continue to do the work because I feel like it's time for me to get into office to find out where our money is, our taxpayer money is, and also to empower youth like James to run. So that's really why I'm here. I want to continue to mentor youth to come into these spaces so they can go ahead and build on a political level and have the opportunity to do what others are doing so we can move out the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Greggs. Mr. McMillan.
All right, good evening, everybody. Sean McMillan, he, him pronouns. And I'm here as a candidate for District 8 City Council. I'm a native Fayettevillean, generational North Carolinian, also a retired veteran. I'm an organizer. And this part of my journey, this leg of my journey is an extension of the work I've done with a lot of you in this room. I do believe in the moral arc of justice, bending towards, or the moral arc of freedom bending towards justice, but I also understand that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, like Dr. King said. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work that we'll do together, and I hope to represent everyone in this room, but especially the people of District 8 as we move towards a more equitable and a more human-conscious Fayetteville, and have policies that actually reflect that. And I think it's we can move beyond just having a seat at the table.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rodney Garvin of District 8. I'm a Fayettevillian similar to Mr. McMillan here. I started elementary school here, middle school, high school, even went on to college. So I've seen the changes that have happened in Fayetteville, and I would like to be a part of making it better. Some things have improved, some things we still have opportunities around. So I would like that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montrose.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to Common Cause, Fayetteville Freedom For all of the moderators and volunteers, and for all of you for being here. Government can't solve all of our problems. It really takes the council, it takes staff, it takes all of the residents working together in partnership. And I will say, I firmly believe the overwhelming majority of everybody that decides to run, even those that couldn't make it today, we all have busy schedules and there's scheduling conflicts. I think most people decide to run from a good place. And certainly for me, Fayetteville native, first and foremost, I'm a son of God, son to James and Elaine. I'm a brother to Olga and Stella. I'm a husband to Liza, and I'm a father to James. And you can take all of my other titles and throw them away and just let me have father to James, and I'll be perfectly content with that. And really, the unsung hero is my wife. So today is our anniversary, and I take service to the city very seriously. So her sacrifice. Oh, is that time?
That's time, I know. I didn't want to
More
cut you
later.
off while you're talking about your anniversary, but sacrifice, right. Okay, thank you to all the candidates. Question 1, which will be starting with Mr. Hondros and then back down the line. This question is about priorities. What do you see as the biggest priority of your district? If elected, what's the one thing you want to achieve during the next 2 years to address this priority? Mr. Hondros.
Yes, sir, and thank you for the question. That's an excellent question. District 9 is made up of 30 neighborhoods and communities. Cross Creek Mall kind of sits in the center of it, and the shape is kind of like a chevron. It goes a little north of the mall, a little south, and then, of course, east and west, from Cliffdale all the way to Riley, Morganton to Riley, Morganton to Cliffdale, where it comes into Fayetteville Tech and Grant Boulevard. And I say that to say the needs and the wants do vary a little bit from neighborhood to neighborhood. For the purposes of time, I will keep it to public safety, housing, attainable housing for all, and infrastructure. And the way to, I think, to make a positive impact on housing and to streamline our processes and procedures. And I hope to be able to talk more soon, because I think my time's up again.
Oh, no, you've got 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes.
I thought it was 30 seconds. Okay, so public safety, in the last 2 terms, last 2 years, we made council made a concerted effort on, during budget season, to not only improve the base salary for police officers and firefighters, but also to fix compression and to get us back on the step plan. That was mainly to make a positive impact on our vacancies. About 24 months ago, we had over 100 vacancies in FPD. I think today that's down to about 53. Again, it's not where we want to be, but we're heading in the right direction. And we also stood up our Office of Community Safety. Our director here, newly hired, Mr. John Jones, trying to have a more holistic approach to community safety, because the police and the fire have their specific roles. However, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to youth programs, when it comes to violence interrupters, perhaps the police and fire aren't necessarily the best suited for those roles. And look forward to sharing more info soon.
Thank you. Mr. Garvin.
Would you mind repeating the question one more time, please?
Sure. What do you see as the biggest priority of your district? If elected, what's the one thing you want to achieve during the next 2 years to address this priority?
So the biggest opportunities that my district have are pretty much 4 different areas. When you talk about safety, taxes, speeding, and PWC. About 2005, this area was annexed, and because of that, we've lost a lot of different things in that area. There have been a lot of promises that have been made that haven't been fulfilled. And I know that people in that district are looking to have those things taken care of. Speeding, of course, is an issue, I think, throughout the city. With 295, Cliffdale Road, before they changed the speed limit, it used to be 50 miles an hour, they brought it down to 45. Hope Loop is 35 miles an hour now, it used to be 55 as well. So we have a thing of speeding and being able to, we need to make sure that we enforce it so that we can protect our citizens. Taxes, we need to find out where our money's going. Excuse me. A lot of our money is being spent, but we don't know what it's going to. When they annexed that area, they told us we were supposed to get sewage. The only thing we've really gotten in this area has been trash cans and a promise of sewage. They started to build the sewage system up now. However, it's still not to the satisfaction of our constituents. And safety, we just need to partner with the police, partner with programs like OCS, find different ways to involve the community as well as the citizens so that we can make sure everyone feels safe, that they want to actually go out and participate in the things that we do have going on in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan.
Good evening, everybody. Sean McMillan, District 8. I think it can all be encapsulated in a term called community safety, the top priorities in District 8. Rodney hit a lot of what I'm hearing from our neighbors. wanted to mention in terms of PWC and annexation, that has real consequences that bring a feeling of unsafety to my neighbors, sometimes in the sense of financial instability. Talked to one of my neighbors who has a lien against his house for the fee, the $5,000 some odd dollars that it takes to connect to PWC. That shouldn't happen 20 years after, in my opinion, 20 years after it was supposed to be connected. But I want to address community safety, making people feel safe around some of the issues like speeding, but also in terms of this affordability crisis and the looming cuts to some of the programs that people depend on. There is a sense from our seniors of uncertainty about things like utility benefits that might be cut next year. Also a sense that we're all going to be in trouble next year when benefits get cut across the board and things like poverty are increased or accelerated here in Fayetteville. Plan to flatten communications. So if I know about a program here at the city level, municipal level, then my neighbors in District 8 know about it. Plan on forming third space collectives. So meeting with people on a regular basis in my neighborhoods so we can come together and talk through how we can help each other out. Also plan to utilize OCS and all of it because I think from its inception that was an organization or an extension of the city that is meant to increase community safety in that sense that we're all better together and safer together.
Thank you, that's great.
So thank you for elaborating on a lot of things I was going to say for my district because I'm in District 7. I want to talk about community safety as well because one thing that a lot of people have observed in my district is no sidewalks, and we actually had several pedestrian hit and runs there in my district, which is also a problem, but that is a part of community safety is sidewalks. We also have issues with ADA compliance because we do have a lot of people in my district that do have ADA needs, and we're talking about just an ADA sidewalk by itself. When it comes to accessibility, I feel like the city doesn't have accessibility for the people that need to know what's going on in my district. Even though we're hosting a lot of forums like now, even if we're hosting a live Zoom, or even if the city's coming out to the rec centers, they don't have access to go to those meetings. So we need to have the meeting a little bit more accessible for the people. And when it comes to just my district, I don't believe in my district, I believe in the city overall, as well as the county needs. Everyone that's running for office will be voting on everyone's district, not just for one. Even though we're gonna come to the table with the needs of that district, but we need to make sure that we understand that everybody's need matter, no matter where you live at in this city, and everybody should have accessibility to us to hold us accountable and make sure that transparency does exist. And if we don't have access, if you don't have access to your council members now, then there's a problem. And that's something that we should look forward to when we're voting. And we should make sure that your taxpayer money is utilized correctly. I'm not asking for a salary. I already requested a state audit because we need to know where our money is going. This is your taxpayer money. And this is very potent to exactly what Sean just said about cuts, because we need to have a resolution that's coming up. Okay? This city needs to give you your money for whatever you need to use for utilities, for groceries. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen, same question, though looking at the city as a whole rather than district-wide.
Thank you. So my priorities have never changed and never wavered in the past 12 years. My priorities are public safety, economic development, which includes attainable housing, and quality of life. But, you know, we can all say that, we've all have and we can go further in that. But my biggest thing as becoming mayor, the things that I need to feel that we need to address is we talk about collaboration all the time. We have started a great collaboration. My best collaboration that I ever did is when I got with the county and the school board and started the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council over 11 years ago. But what I will say is what we really need, especially in the times that are getting ready to hit us, with the programs of all the cuts that are coming on, we need to have a collaboration with our residents. We need to have a collaboration with our stakeholders. We need to have a collaboration with our church members. Because what is getting ready to happen to us, I've learned a new saying that is underserved and overserved. So you have a group that is underserved, but what happens in that underserved group a lot of the times, they are getting overserved because they're going to different places, getting a lot of things, and you have a group that is completely underserved in the services that we give them. We need systems and we need details of how we can plan to get through the next 2 years, because what is coming down to our tier 1 city, tier 1 county, and 66% of our people are with military-related. We are ready for some very hard times, and we have to have systems to make sure that we can take care of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate that. Let me regurgitate something that I said at the last forum. I think public safety should be everyone's #1 priority. Public safety takes over a third of our entire budget. So public safety will always be first. But I'm going to expand on public safety because our crime rate is already going down. So our police officers are doing a great job. I love what Councilman Handro said about our police department and how we funded them. That's great. But you guys also passed a $97 million obligation bond to give us $12 million for public, $60 million for public safety and new 911 call center. But you also gave us $12 million for sidewalks and roads. When I was on council, they had a pedestrian plan. I said, how come the pedestrian plan doesn't go around all 26 schools we have in the city of Fayetteville? So I brought the council, let's do a supplementary pedestrian plan to do a 1 mile radius around schools. So now we're doing a study to make sure we got sidewalks around schools. And we also added another $500,000 to our budget for sidewalks across the city. Everybody knows the title up there that we're the least walkable city. But we're doing everything we can to combat those who believe that we are. As far as districts is concerned, I tell everybody District 6 is blowing up. Everybody wants to know about what's going on. That's why I have a monthly meeting with 19 of my 33 communities to let them know what's going on. Everybody knows about the big development that's going on Gillis Hill and Rayford Road. We're having zoning issues, not zoning issues. We're having zoning requests because more housing is being built in Southwest Fayetteville than any place else in the city of Fayetteville. We're having major developments on Grand Road, on Bingham Road, on Fisher Road, on Stony Point, on Dunbar, on the backside of Gates 4. Development is coming, and also affordable housing is coming. Infrastructure is coming. They talked about the PWC. We're working hard to try to bond those projects out because it's taking PWC too long to do PWC. Thanks.
Yes, hello again. My name is Gail Morfessus. I'm from District 2. And of course, everyone has these basic issues that we know we have to address, like public safety, just the general goodness of our citizenry. We have to help them. We have to be willing to not only talk above them, but talk to them. We cannot make them feel that they are not being spoken to or communicated with, because many people at these forums say that no one is listening to them. I want to let you know, first of all, your voice counts and your vote counts. District 2, of course, includes the downtown area of Fayetteville. It goes all the way to the Cape Fear River. It goes up into part of Haymount. It goes out into Massey Hill. And it comes up here to FSU, and it also goes out Ramsey Street to Roseboro Road. But, so it's a very large district, and it has a lot of different types of people. However, I think that everyone needs to be treated fairly and equitably, and we need to reach out to all of these people. And we need to look out for our businesses downtown. We cannot have our downtown failing. In the last 10 years or so, our downtown has really diminished. We have a lot of empty storefronts. And my opponent at the last debate we had, he said, well, the businesses are always coming and going, so you can't really talk to them. You must go there. You must talk to them about their issues, and you must look them in the eye and find out what you can do to help them. I think the paid parking has been a disaster. I think that we actually spend more to collect the money than we ever collect. And anything like that, that's just abuse of taxpayer dollars. However, that also hasn't helped the businesses because people don't want to go down there. They see the meters don't work, this and that and the other. It sounds like a small issue, but it's not. It's an important issue. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, there's three main things that I've gathered from talking to the community. One was youth development. They say the youth don't have a lot of things to do in Fayetteville, and also our murder rate is 3 times the national average, and the average age is 24.8. Right, so that's people my age, people I went to school with, football games with, hung out with, suspects, victims alike. And what I want to do is I want to give them the access to those resources at a young age so when they grow up, they won't become victims of the system. Now, that's through programs, that's through OCS as well. I also was the vice chair of the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council for 2 years, like Ms. Kathy Jensen mentioned earlier. And so how OCS would play into this, we give $84K to nonprofits for youth development for those things. So my thing is, if we're giving them this money, what statistics are they bringing back to us to connect OCS that have the resources to connect to those children and provide them with the right amount of resources? I also believe that we could work with the schools. I know we don't necessarily work with the schools as city council, but I believe that when you're in school, you have that favorite teacher, right? And you tell them all these things that when you go home, you don't tell your parents. So I feel like if we foster a conversation with these teachers, we can have a better idea of what these kids need in the community specifically, because they're talking to their teachers and they're letting them know what they need. Another thing was sidewalks, speed bumps, and speed limits. I'll work with Fayetteville PD to make sure it doesn't disrupt their routes to get to emergencies. It doesn't slow them down. And another thing was transparency. In the College Lakes area, that's a big thing. We didn't know, we weren't properly informed about the 7-Eleven, and I hear that around while I'm walking to Greystone, Kings Grant, so I would also like to be more transparent. And I said, once I say it again, canvassing doesn't stop when the election does.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. All right, question 2, we're going to start with Ms. Morfessis and then go around and back around. Ms. Morfessis, then Mr. Thompson, and so on down the line. This question is about housing and development. According to City View, Richard King, the new chair of the Fayetteville Public Works Commission, wants the utility, the city, and Cumberland County to collaborate with each other and developers to persuade more people to build homes here in Fayetteville rather than in neighboring counties. Do you agree with Mr. King? What will be your approach to housing and other development-related questions? Ms. Morfessis.
I think we definitely have a shortage of housing, and that obviously has to be addressed. I think that so many times, though, people do not reach out to the groups that could work together to help this problem. We have many groups that it seems like that they're always looking to go out of Fayetteville or out of Cumberland County and ask for something taxed somewhere to give us the advice, and then they don't always follow the advice. It's sort of a big waste of money. So we need to do things that are productive. We need to actually see where our money's going, because right now we're not accountable for our funds. And there are organizations in town like Habitat for Humanity, and some of these groups that do great work, and I don't think they should be overlooked when it comes to building projects. They have already done some building projects for veterans, tunnels for towers. You can actually apply to have a whole veterans village built. It's like a huge complex. All you have to do is arrange for them to have the land to put it on, and they pay all of the expenses other than the land. And I think we need to be working together, not just saying, well, that's somebody else's duty to do that. We need to reach out, city and county together, to work together for these things. Because I have worked with a lot of not-for-profits locally here. I've done a lot of that work, and that's why I'm willing to be a public servant, because I know what it is to be a public servant. That means you're not really paid, you're really working very hard for the city, and you're trying to get all of these people that you have met to just join hands and work together. I think also, I'll say again, that we must be willing to reach out to our citizens, because if we have good community watch programs, if we have good networking in our, the term neighborhood, that means you have a neighbor. And a lot of times, unfortunately, people have forgotten what neighbor is.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you very much for that question. Most of you may not know, but I am the PWC liaison. So I go to every PWC board meeting. 4 of the 10 council members just went to Tar Heel last Thursday and took an 8-hour class on affordable, attainable housing. I'm going to try to give you a synopsis on how we can help with our housing market. I just got finished telling you how so much housing is being built in the southwest side of Fayetteville. We have to become contractor builder friendly. We have to make sure we start streamlining our processes when it comes to permitting, when it comes to zoning. We cannot give away any land to any developer. It is illegal. Whatever excess property the city has, you have to sell it at market rate price. The way you make attainable housing is you give them incentives, i.e., you build a development, we'll build the sidewalks. You build a development, we'll put your sewage in. You build a development, we'll make sure we have water and sewage. That way you have attainable housing that can reduce the amount of houses that they build to make them attainable and affordable through programs for individuals that qualify. They also tell you building is good, but revitalization is even more important because you will never be able to build more houses that you already have. So if you have some of those houses that your parents left you or your grandparents left you that's been sitting there for ages, sell it to somebody. Let somebody refurbish it and let them use it for affordable housing. That's the way we get out of the market. People want to say, how do you make housing affordable? I always tell them, they tell us, build more houses. That cuts the price down, which makes it affordable for everybody. These are some of the things that the city is going to look forward to. These are some of the things that council is going to look forward to. These are the things I'm looking forward to make our city expand. And once again, we are landlocked. So you're building in southwest and north side of Fayetteville.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen.
So I'm going to stand up on this one because this is a passion for everybody that is on council right now that I think I can speak for. So as I say, I start this. We were in Winston-Salem at a North Carolina League of Municipalities conference one time. And of course, my fellow council member to my right was waiting for me, and we were getting ready to go to dinner to meet all our colleagues. And he looked at me and said, Mayor Pro Tem, why does Winston-Salem have all this and we don't? That was an aha moment for me. Said, come on, Councilmember Thompson, we got a long walk and we're going to talk about it. So what happened is we came back. We started the UDO committee, which Councilmember Hondros runs. We started seeing things in this UDO committee that we weren't holding back. We weren't holding back building, but we weren't telling the story. We weren't saying to the builders, we can do this, we can do that. But what I will say to you is, we sat down, we started peeling the onion, and for once in my 12 years, we had 4 council members get up and go to a class out of town to learn how we can make this happen. It starts with a conversation and what we can look at and what is happening here in Fayetteville. You go to Cary, 5-story, 6-story buildings. There's none in Fayetteville. There are policies that are in place that we give them density. We're not giving them anything, we're giving them density. We give them more density, they can do rent controlled on 20% of that building. We do density, they can do attainable housing. They can do workforce housing. We are the only city that didn't do it, but we're going to do it now.
Thank you. Ms. Greggs.
Well, hello, Kathy Gregson, District 7. So I'm not going to give you the political answer. I just want to make sure that we're clear when you're talking about PWC, that we did get a loan from them for COVID, which is $4 million. I believe you've requested for that to be deferred. Am I correct? Yes. So I want to make sure that we're clear on 2 things. The city of Fayetteville for the PFAS filter system by 2028 will cost $116 million. This is all under PWC. They decided to do something called payment in lieu of taxes, which is a pilot program with PWC. So by 2028, we'll be paying more for our PFAS system, and by then we'll be paying more for property tax and increase. I want to make sure we elaborate on PWC and our relationship with PWC, okay? So we still owe $4 million of a loan to PWC that we borrowed in COVID. So I want to be truthful about this because this is your taxpayer money. I'm going to go back to that, okay? We need to have real resolutions, and we need to have realistic resolutions. And when it comes to housing, that is a human right. That is a human right. No one should be without housing. No one is exempt from being homeless in here. I don't care if your house is $400,000. You can be homeless. I slept out with the homeless. Dr. Val is a great advocate for the homeless. When she calls me up and says someone needs money in a hotel, I meet her down there. All these organizations have done it. It is a human right. So everyone deserves to live in a home. But let me tell you something. You better look at your taxpayer money and ask yourself, is it worth? Because I am a public servant, because I don't want a salary, and I've been doing this for years with organizations like that. Because the organizations are the one going to the hotel. Thank you.
Mr. McMillan.
Sean McMillan, District 8. My son said something profound to me last summer that I've been thinking about ever since he said it. He said corporations are an entity that has infinite demand on our resources, and we live on a planet with limited resources. And I've been thinking about this question of housing, of growth, and some of the answers that were given at our last forum when we were with the NAACP. And I have to take a step back and say that I'm going to be a council member or representative of the people that puts people first, puts people over property, and move with caution when it comes to expanding and say not at the expense of communities. I saw the council's decision, was sorely disappointed on the 7-Eleven decision for Northern Fayetteville. I thought that was a clear case where community said, we don't want another gas station. It changes the character of our neighborhood. And I saw a council that was very indifferent to the demands of the people. And I hope to be a representative truly of placing people first. When we're talking about tax incentives and decreasing the amount of taxes on these developers, I'm skeptical about that because I don't think that that's going to automatically equate to lower housing. I think that's going to equate to richer developers. And I don't want us to fall into traps that get us there, that take us there blindly. And I will be somebody on the council that speaks up for neighborhoods, for our neighbors, and putting humanity first. Also, just wanted to mention land trusts, which I see excellent examples of in Durham, and then also housing co-ops. I would love to see more community-owned property and us shielding ourselves as best we can with the laws in North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. Mr. Gardner.
Can you answer the question? Can you ask the question one more time?
Sure. Yes. According to City View, Richard King, the new chair of the Fayetteville Public Works Commission, wants the utility, the city, and Cumberland County to collaborate with each other and developers to persuade more people to build homes here in Fayetteville rather than in neighboring counties. Do you agree with Mr. King? What will be your approach to housing and other development-related questions?
Well, when you look at the city of Fayetteville, or just any city in general, it's all about business. How can we attract business here? How can we make them want to stay here and invest in our city? We have to look at different programs that we have already. We have the first-time home buyers programs. We have different certificates and bonds that people are able to get in order to purchase homes. So we have to look at what we have and what we're trying to create. We have some of the brightest and smartest people in the city that we can actually take them and use them to create a better demographic of housing, affordability, be able to create the system that we want. When you look at lawyers, we have lawyers that are in the city to where we can make our contracts, to make them where they're ironclad, to where the citizens actually are the ones who benefit, not just the corporations who are coming here. We have to look outside the box. Doing many of the same things we've done in the past will, of course, give us the same outcomes of the past. We have to look at what we want to do and move forward. We have to create a plan that we can all agree upon and go from there. I know for everyone to have their same agreements on everything, it will be difficult, but we got to look at more of the pluses and not so much focus on the negative aspects of those things. And that's how we're going to be able to create more affordable housing, different opportunities for people in our city. It's never going to be the same thing that we did before. It's always going to be something else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hodges.
Thank you. If I may, I'd like to acknowledge Commissioner Glenn Adams in the back, Cumberland County Commissioner, former chair. The reason you snuck in after we had started, so no one said your name. I just wanted them to know you were here. The reason that's pertinent to this question, we cannot continue to operate in silos. The city cannot do strategic future planning without PwC, without the county, and vice versa, without FAMPO, our Fayetteville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Econ 101, the more supply, the more demand you have for something and less supply, the higher the cost is going to be. So if you increase the supply, it lowers the cost. So it's true. Builders typically can't afford to build entry-level housing or affordable housing. By building more housing, though, it's a cascading effect. As people purchase those new units, they free up another unit. My colleague mentioned earlier, it's not a Fayetteville unique problem. It's a problem across the country. There's 40% of housing stock across the country is aging stock, so you have to revitalize it. And the GO bonds that were approved in 2023 by the voters, it was 25 million infrastructure, 12 million was for housing. The three-pronged approach to the housing is our Hometown Heroes program, the Aging in Place, which will help the aging generation maintain their properties without getting behind on taxes or mortgage payments, so that they don't lose those homes to gentrification. So we just have to take a more holistic approach. When the city can't decide to grow in one direction, but have transit go in another direction and have our utilities going in another direction. The city, the county, the utilities, transit, we all have to pull in the same direction. And this council has challenged our staff and all of our departments to do exactly that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas, I did not forget about you. 2 minutes on housing and development.
Okay, yeah, I want to touch on the homelessness topic. We allocated $250,000 funds for our homelessness voucher program, and that program is now paused, and I believe that's just because the amount of requests exceeded the amount of funds. So that just shows deeper how deep the issue of homelessness is. And the way we can solve that is to simply just be more aggressive in our efforts. And that looks like tiny homes, that looks like pallet homes, which have been used in Greensboro. They had 56 of them during the winter time. And after that period of time, they show 80% of those people with wraparound support services went on to better living situations and better living arrangements as well. That's like expanding the Fayetteville Day Resource Center that connects the homeless to clothing, to mental health, to case management, and things like that. So I feel like if we're going to talk about affordable housing, we need to start looking at these affordable housing options for the homeless and providing them with the right resources, and also supporting RAV, which is redeploying American vets. And they said, we'll build the tiny homes, but we just need to see council support in zoning and districting as well. So doing things like that, supporting things like that is what really makes us the all-American city and what really makes us the veteran city. Because if we're going to be a military town, we have to support our veterans and we have to make it look beautiful.
Okay. Question 3, which we'll start with Mr. Garvin, then Mr. McMillan, and go on down, is about public safety and law enforcement. Crime rates and community trust in law enforcement are both top concerns in Fayetteville, including speeding. Various people have mentioned that as well as part of public safety. If elected, how would you improve safety while also strengthening accountability and trust between the community and police? Mr. Garvin.
Well, when it comes to increasing safety, we have to work together. We have to look at our neighbors. We have to look at, if you see something going on, you have to be aware of it. Make sure that everyone in your city is aware of it. We have programs right now like OCS, which is based off of 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are very important. It deals with the youth, it deals with mental health, It deals with a homelessness response and just community-based violence reduction. And all those things are what we have to focus on each other. As a unit. We can't do it individually. And as of right now, when you look at the police department, they're already short-staffed. Then the people that are in the police department, they're overworked. And I know a lot of people in this room, when they've been through those types of situations, your stress levels, you're not thinking correctly. You're not able to do the things that need to be done. We have to look at also how our police department is trained. We have to look at, they need to be trained on mental health and how that can help with any type of interaction they deal with. Because at the end of the day, some of your worst experiences, the police are involved. Whether that's a car accident, a burglary, someone maybe unaliving themselves. Those are things that you don't want to be around, you don't want to experience, and they have to go through that every day. And the very next day or the very next interaction, act like it didn't happen. So we do have to give them a certain level of grace, but we also have to make sure that our police officers are trained to a better expectation. We have new police officers getting ready to come out of the academy now. We need to work with them to make sure that we're all on the same accord, that we want to make sure that all our citizens are protected, not just from things that they can't control, but even the uncontrollables. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan.
Yeah, Sean McMillan, District 8. I'm going to get something out of the way. I think first we need to not waste our time talking about ineffective policies and programs that waste resources in our time, like curfews and like shot spotting. All right. Now I'm going to move to the most important thing that we're not doing enough of is developing long-term strategy, focusing on how we bring people out of generational poverty. That is the root cause, and everybody would agree to that. Yeah, when you look at things like our budget, we'll talk about a police budget that has ballooned 23% over the last several years, and then champion the OCS when OCS is in fact only 0.03% of what that police budget is. So are we really doing our best in terms to tackle the root causes? Our resources and where we're putting them doesn't say that, doesn't paint that story. We need to have a strategy that really talks about how the poorest people in Fayetteville get out of that bottom quintile and actually have prosperity that takes them away from crime. Beyond that, if we're talking about accountability and transparency, I can talk for a long time about that because we've had failed policies. Since 2012, we've been talking about a CRB. We had one of our candidates expressed frustration about not getting something passed in 2 months. Guys, this has been 13 years and we haven't been able to have independent oversight yet. So that shows a lack of moral leadership, in my opinion. It shows a lack of seriousness about what we can really do to be transparent and accountable. And also the sentinel event review is something we could do almost immediately that the city is ready for, but the council is not yet ready for. We need the people to make sure that we push our representatives to embrace systems like a sentinel event review.
I don't know how I can come after that because me and Sean McMillan, I'm District 7, me and Sean McMillan started Fayetteville PAC in 2015 because we needed a citizen review board. And guess who told us that? The Department of Justice told our city, because of Drive 'em All Black, they demanded us to have a citizen review board. We advocated that for many years. We didn't get a vote until during George Floyd 8-2, and guess what? We still haven't established a citizen review board. So we're still waiting on that. Okay, so me and Sean started Fayetteville PAC here because of Drive 'em All Black, because he was a native. And me and him started doing work as Army combat veterans with other veterans called Community Impact. And with this group, we went to nonprofits to intersect them into the government entity. Now, we also did work to make sure that the county took money out of their budget to have body cameras on Sheriff's Department. Sheriffs didn't have body cameras until recently out of their budget. That is something that we're talking about. We're talking about safety, transparency, and accountability when it comes to budgeting. So I don't know how I can come back after that, because like I said, Fayetteville PAC has been here since 2015 to advocate for these things that is in demand. When we talk about poverty, which Fayetteville PAC also assisted with people going into our detention center, because it's a holding cell, it's not a jail, but coming out to have jobs such as re-entry, transitional housing, so they won't go back into poverty or back into the justice system. We have fought for that in many ways. We also made sure the Reentry Council here in Cumberland County had the funds to reopen, because they actually were closed for 6 months. So when we're talking about safety, let's talk about the whole rim of it, and poverty is the biggest one, and that's a problem here because we are a tier 1 in our county. So we need to fix that, and we need to fix the relationships with the police officers so we can get back to trusting them, and also them trusting us as citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Greggs. Ms. Jensen.
Thank you. So talking about public safety, we've all had our opinions up here. We all have things that we can do. But before I start on the tools and the toolbox and things that we have done, a lot of people don't know, a fun fact about public safety is also your trash pickup. Sanitation is put under public safety, because if it's not taken care of, you can get diseases. So I will go back to the OCS. We have put our money, our time, and our energy into starting this OCS this program. We all know that poverty causes a lot of this. It's economics. A lot of it is economics. With the OCS, it takes 20 years to change a generation. 20 years to change a generation to thinking that they can be successful, to think that they have opportunity, and to have hope to go and get things. With the OCS, we're taking a bite out of the elephant. Everything that is set up here is exactly right, but it takes time. The CRB board that we've talked about since 2012, the state has to make that happen. It's not the city council, it's the state. It goes up to the state to change that legislation. But what we did during the George Floyd is we started the Citizens Advisory Board. So I will go back to the youth violence. I know I'm not going to be popular when I say this because you all listen to the meetings. I was for the curfew. I am a mom. I've raised 4 boys. I cannot see why somebody out at 16 should be out past 11 o'clock. Nobody's going to change my mind on that. But I stand by it. I stand by the license plate readers. I stand by clear bags going into functions that
Thank you,
we
Ms.
do.
Jensen. We have a rebuttal from Mr.
You know, it's true when they say the state has to approve local policy, local governance, but that's true of every single policy that we pass. So it's kind of dishonest to say, in my opinion, that's something that's been used in a way that's not completely truthful with the community. What it takes is moral leadership, y'all. It takes a mayor with guts that's going to say, that's going to get all of the state delegation, is what it's called, all of the folks that represent us in Raleigh together, and say, we stand behind the CRB. We're going to do everything that, under the North Carolina laws, that is allowed for a CRB. And we want you as a state delegation to take this to Raleigh and get it past this local delegation. It's the same way we pass every single policy, right? So what we're missing is the moral leadership. It's not the process that's holding us up.
Ms. Jensen, did you want to respond? Okay. We'll move on to Mr. Thompson.
Thank you guys for the question. I'm just going to give you some stats. When it comes to public safety, the city put $6.5 million in the programs to help with public safety. They also give you another $3.5 million from the Office of Community Safety to help with public safety. What we have done just this past budget, we've given over $1 million to add LPRs, those are license plate readers, just for District 6, because there isn't any. We're also going to implement the red light camera program as soon as we finish a lawsuit out of Wilmington to bring back our red light camera program. Public safety, as I told you before, is always going to be our #1 priority. You want to talk about crime? Our crime rate is plummeting is down to almost a 10-year low as far as personal property crime. You want to talk about homicides? Homicides are up. But most homicides are from somebody that knows somebody else. There's not a program that you can use to help solve that problem. Only thing we can do is use mechanisms and devices that we have to catch those individuals that are committing those crimes. And that percentage is over 96%. So look at the stats that I just gave you, and you will see that crime is not a major problem in the city of Fayetteville. I told you before, District 6, where I live, is the safest district in the city. It's something that we're proud of. And what you have to do is you have to come together as a community to help the police department. The police department wants to engage with you. They have a faith in action. How many people knows that? They had a coffee with the cop. This morning, they just had walk with the cop. I did all 3 of them. And I encourage everybody that comes to my chat to these communities to do the exact same thing so you can engage with the members of your community. We made it so easy. We even talked to the police chief and these station managers to see if you can get these police officers to work the same shift throughout the entire year so they get to know that community. So that way the same officers that's not been taking shifts don't know the people in the community. So when they go to that community...
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you very much.
We have a rebuttal from Ms. Griggs.
Thank you. I just want to say that we did put in a bill, me and former Senator Kurt DeVere, which was Senate Bill 682, and that reflected a citizen review board across the state of North Carolina, not just Fayetteville. So that is in there, as well as Governor Cooper's task force suggested that any city can authorize a citizen review board, and there is cities here in our state that have them. But I want to caveat on the fact of coffee with a cop, walking with the cop, as well as interfaith action, because I have been out there in interfaith action with the police officers going to these hotels and visiting people to see how it looks. But coffee with a cop, there's not many people showing up because it's during the daytime. And so is today. We went and did the walk, the district. It was only 7 people there. So that's what I mean by transparency and having things when people are accessible, right? We don't have accessibility because people are working. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griggs. All right, Ms. Marquise.
Okay, again, I'm Gail Morphesis for District 2, and I think that I'm not saying that everything that the City Council has done in the past, yes, they have instigated a lot of programs, but when you start a program, you have to finish a program. You cannot start things and then not follow the progress of them. We have seen this over and over and over again. We have seen people talk about cleaning up the Cape Fear River. 15 years ago, but it had been done. And I'm just saying that we had many projects that were funded that the money was just wasted. We have seen that already, okay? So I'm just saying that money, it's great to have money for projects, but you must be accountable for where the money goes. You must be responsible and transparent, and you have to have equitable and fair treatment for everyone. Right now, we have an opioid settlement that's coming to the city of Fayetteville. In the next several years, they're going to get $3.2 million. Believe me, that could be a great start because we could start treatment centers where people could stay there for drug problems and get also some interaction and get some education for a job when they get out. And this would help 3 major problems we have in the city. It would help with drug abuse, it would help with alcoholism, and it would help with poverty and homelessness. We cannot waste that money. It cannot be that we get these programs and money and that it's just later on somebody says, oh, well, we started that 3 years ago, but we don't know where the contractor went, or we don't know what happened. And it can't always be passing the buck either. I'm sorry, where I'm from, there's always somebody that the buck stops here. It's not that, okay, it must have been our city manager, we should have gotten rid of him, whatever. Well, if they should have, they should have, and if they didn't, they didn't. But in the end result, it should have been the mayor that was held responsible. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, reiterating on what I said about the youth crime rate and the average age being 24.8, and to the Derek Thompson's point, if if majority of those instances are people that know each other, I believe that connection to mental health services and teaching children how to deal with their emotions at a young age will prevent those situations from happening 20 years. Because like Kathy Jensen said, it takes 20 years to change a generation. So imagine if you learn how to deal with your emotions at 2, at 4, at 5. How would that look when you're 25 as well? I'm running on a platform, it takes a village. Not just to raise a child, but to build a community. But first, we gotta take care of the ones that's building it. So I think of public safety from a holistic standpoint. That's not just crime rate, that's not just murder rate, that's also homelessness issue. There's also recidivism. Do we have expungement clinics for people that get out the system so they don't go back in the system? How often are we having NC Worst hiring events so those same people can qualify to get jobs as well? So I think of it as a holistic standpoint when I hear the term public safety. That also goes for PFAS in the water. That also goes for how our infrastructure looks. Are we partnering with labor unions to make sure all the people that are working in this community have the right resources, have the right gear so they won't have to risk their lives trying to make ends meet to feed their families? So doing things like this is how we really solve the issue of public safety. We can't police our way out of these issues.
Mr. Andres.
Thank you. Not to rehash the statistics my colleague had mentioned, but crime is falling with the exception of the homicides. It is proven the overwhelming majority of those are either domestic violence or the victim and the suspect are known to each other. So there's really, we're limited, the police is limited in what they can do to mitigate those. However, with the new police chief, Chief Bryan, on speeding and moving violations, it's a concerted effort and a priority to make a positive impact there. In the last couple months, I've had more residents of my district see me in a store or out in public somewhere and say, I've seen the police officers pulling over more speeders and more traffic violations in the last couple months than I've seen in the last couple of years. So I think we are making a positive impact there with our Office of Community Safety. You know, a couple of the priorities that were mentioned, or a couple of programs that we council moved forward, which was the Youth Protection Ordinance and the Sound Thinking. I was not necessarily the biggest proponent of those. However, we do everything as a council. As a council, we pass those things. I do believe that a lot of the issues are socioeconomic. So personally, I'm always for supporting our youth in the way of conflict resolution, in the way of violence interrupters. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be this or that. Sometimes it can be this and that. So the one thing our PD does very well, and the majority of our city is data-driven, so they do collect data. Council challenges them to collect even more data on those two programs to see the efficacy of it. And I believe as those programs are initiated that they will have a positive impact on overall community safety. Is a more holistic approach than perhaps what we've done in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Andres. Okay, our last question, we'll start with Mr. Thompson. Where Mr. Thompson is? There he is, he's right in front of me. And it's about public transit. Public transit remains limited here and road congestion is a regular concern. Would you support expanding funding for public transit even if it required reallocating dollars from road projects or raising taxes? Why or why not?
That is a good question. Let me give you some more numbers. We already fund transit $2 million a year, subsidize them because they don't make enough money to continuously operate. Fellow councilwomen want to bring express route to the southwest side of Fayetteville, and it didn't get much participation, so they canceled that. Transit is having problems with drivers. We don't have enough drivers. I was listening to another colleague out of Hope Mills, who was trying to talk about, we had a transit seminar about a month ago in the transit building, about bringing transit to Hope Mills close to my district off Lakewood Drive. She said, that's not a good spot, because most people over there are driving cars. Nobody's gonna ride the bus. To me, it depends on where you wanna put transit. So we have to do a study and a survey to see where are the impact rides where people congregate the most, that use the transit the most. Every now and then I go down to the mall where my wife shops all the time and look at the buses when they do their changeover right there to see how many people get on the bus. Transit is doing a great job. They have wheelchair accessibility, they have bike riders, the whole 9 yards. I would support it if we took it out of the general fund. I would not support it if we had to raise taxes.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen?
So, going back to what Councilmember Thompson said, we have put a lot of effort and a lot of money into transit, which we need to. The problem with our transit system that we have, and it has been a battle for the 12 years I've been on council, is the timing. It's not running for the time for people to go to work. If you have a job and you have to be there at 9 o'clock, God willing that you can figure it out, you might have to start at 7 to get there at 9, and if you get off at 5, if the buses are running, you might get home at 9. That is where our biggest issue is. We are more than willing to fund it, and if I'm not mistaken, it cost us almost $13 million a year that we subsidize in transit for our people. Now, I have met with the Mayor Pro Tem of Hope Mills right before COVID. We were trying to get that together. I meet with the Garrison Commander once a month on transit. We're trying to get that together. We've talked to the county. We're trying to get a mass transit system. But at the point we're at now, we have to make it for our residents to get to and from work. And it is impossible the way we're doing it right now. I believe that we might even need to look at Ubers, that we have a system of Ubers, because at one point, sometimes it is less expensive to pick somebody at their house, get a small car, pick them up at their house, take them to work, and then go pick them up at work and to bring them back than it is to take a bus. So those are the things that we need to look for. I am very much in favor of transportation, and we have to streamline it and have systems so people can use it.
Thank you, Ms. Jensen. Ms. Craigs? Yeah, I gotta get back.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to have to agree with Mayor Pro Tem Kathy Jensen on this. We do need to extend our transit. Being up north and going to different cities across the state, the United States, and watching how their transit work. We had bus lines, we had train lines, we had trolleys, we had everything for transportation. So I don't think we should just look only into the bus line. We probably need to extend something else other than an Uber. But, I also think if we're investing into the citizens, we should have it to where transportation may be free. We might want to talk to some business owners that's willing to give bus passes to the workers that work for them. We might want to talk to other people and other organizations of how we can give free bus passes to people that can't afford it. Because believe it or not, there's people working 2 to 3 jobs and they have to catch a bus. That takes about 3 hours of their day to get home. By the time they get home, they're too tired and they got to turn back around and get back on a bus. And then they have to stand at a bus stop for almost 45 minutes to wait for the bus. If the bus is late, there's no overhead. So I'm getting rained on at a bus stop, right? That's also an issue, right? Safety concerns. So we need to look into the transit as a whole, but I think we need to expand it, not just having a bus line. We should have other transits. I'm not going to agree with the Uber. I just agree that we should have other means of getting places like other cities does. But we should definitely get with businesses to see if we can have some free bus lines, free passes for people that work at certain business companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan?
Can you repeat the question, Rob?
Yeah. Public transit remains limited here and road congestion is a regular concern. Would you support expanding funding for transit even if it required reallocating dollars from road projects or raising taxes? Why or why not?
Yes is my answer. Why, in terms of what's important, what's needed is for those people that I was talking about, the folks that have been struggling for generations here in Fayetteville, to have a ladder that allows them to work, to make sure that they come out of poverty. And I think we need to be doing everything in our power to look at ways to do that. And public transportation fits into that. On top of all the obstacles that have been named already, I live in a part of town that is not very dense. We're pretty spread out. I'm in Western Fayetteville, right up against the Hope County line. If you're thinking about Hope Loop Road, intersection of Cliffdale Road and Rayford, that's where we are in District 8. And it takes a while to get around. It's not a walkable place. I think many people would like it if there was a better public transportation. And I'm not discounting the gains that have been made. I know Courtney Banks McLaughlin did a lot to make sure there was emphasis on getting some additional stops down there. We still have some gaps. If you're walking to a bus stop, you're probably walking, in many cases, you're walking on grass against a major road. And I know there are plans in the works for improvements on Rim Road, for sidewalks, especially on Cliffdale, but we're not there yet. There's also the issue of not having shelters. So you're standing out in the sun or in the elements if you're a bus rider. And I think those are some things that we can subsidize in order to make that experience of public transit something that's more bearable to most people. And then long term, figure out how we can plan to be a more dense city, more walkable city, so that folks don't have to rely on public transportation and cars to get around.
Thank you. And I just,
No, I said after.
okay, yeah, all right. Mr. Garvin.
So yes, I do agree that public transportation is a very important thing. When you look at the different businesses and activities and things of that we have in Fayetteville that people aren't just able to get to, whether you're talking about going to the airport, to the banks, of course going to work, or even say for maybe a Woodpeckers game. We also talk about, a lot of times we talk about the amount of money that it costs to park downtown. So if we start to use public transportation, you can bus from one location, have more people and be able to drop more people off to take advantage of those things. So ultimately it's about the needs of our citizens. How can we get people around more efficiently? And then also when you look at the timing of the buses, like it's already been mentioned before, but if someone gets off at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're not gonna be able to get a bus ride home. They're either gonna have to do an Uber or a taxi, or if they have a friend that can give them a ride. So when you look at the importance of transportation, we have to focus on it. Like just being able to walk around the city. I used to live in Illinois. In Illinois, there was a sidewalk everywhere. You could walk, down the street of your house. You could go down the main roads. There was a sidewalk. Here we don't have that, but it's something that's been implemented. I've seen it change over the years because before we didn't have any sidewalks in Fayetteville. Now we do. So all we have to do is continue to push, continue to find the things the opportunities that we have, and increase on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garvin. Mr. Andres.
A lot to unpack with that question. I could speak to you for 3 hours. So this past March, in our strategic planning, council made transit one of our priorities, added to the other 5 we already had. And it's true, there's a lot of challenges. The sidewalk infrastructure isn't there, the shelter infrastructure isn't there, and of course you need more buses, more vehicles, and you need smaller vehicles. The mass transit, when people, most of the time when you use the phrase, most people think of rail or subway, it's very expensive. So for a city the size of Fayetteville, building out and enhancing our buses and our transit system and having smaller vehicles is the cost-effective way to do that. So again, it's not just transit. When I spoke earlier about not operating in silos, partnering with the county, partnering with the utility, we have to start thinking regionally. So FAMPO, the Fayetteville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, it's not just the city of Fayetteville, it's not just the county. It goes all the way to Harnett County, it goes to Hope County, a little piece of Moore County, and all the way down to Robinson County. So when you take business people like myself from the private side, you think of everything from a dollar and cents. So you think, okay, we invest this much money, you have to get a return on investment. However, when you're dealing with nonprofits or you're dealing with government, it's not about a return on investment. You're providing a service. So in March, we used to go to Capitol Hill to talk with our federal delegation. A colleague and I, we rode the bus system. It was free. Coming out of the pandemic, during the pandemic, DC, they waived all the transportation fees. We rode up and down, we went and got a meal, went to the museum, went to Capitol Hill, and to the point that some of the other speakers already said, when we got back to Fayetteville with the same colleague, we're at City Hall for a meeting. I said, what if we wanted to go carpool, instead of carpooling, get a bus and go to the mall to a restaurant to eat? It would take us like 4 hours. And my time is up. But the way to mitigate that is more vehicles and smaller vehicles.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, they said a lot of things that I agree with as far as extending the bus route times, extending what the bus stops look like as far as overheads and infrastructure. But I also want to bring to light the fact that sometimes people just don't know when and where the bus is at and when it's running. And that brings me to Civic Plus. If you've been to any of the other forums I've talked about before, this is not only for like infrastructure or contacting your city council members, but it also has a thing for transit and bus routes where it makes it quick and easy and one click on the city website where you can see all that information and where the bus is, where it's going, and around what time it will be there. So I just wanted to bring that to light as well.
Thank you. Some more assistance.
Yes, I also agree that many good points have been brought up here, and this is one of the points that I have tried to make consistently, is that if we work together, we can actually think outside the box and try to solve many of these problems by just having a think tank on this and really try to figure this out. Because right now, yes, we have that beautiful transit center downtown, but a building does not a transit system make. The building is great, but everyone I know that rides the buses is extremely dissatisfied because everyone has to go all the way downtown to get onto the next bus to go all the way out to the other side of town. So maybe we should have thought outside of the box, but then we can't go back, can we? But at any rate, we should start thinking more generally of how we can do a better job with spending our taxpayers' dollars. And then we could have substations in different places so we could actually transport people, not everyone, all the way downtown. Also, I had, I don't know whether you all knew this, but about 15 or 20 years ago, there was actually a gentleman in town that was quite innovative, and he said, okay, we have these railroad tracks, they were trolley tracks, that went all the way from downtown out to Fort Bragg. And he said we could just, it wouldn't take much money to redo those tracks because the tracks are already there. They're in the median, they're in the grass median of Bragg Boulevard. So he had said that we could just have a trolley run going back and forth continually to Fort Bragg and back to the city, and that would help to transport many people that need to be on that route, and it would have stops, of course. And for some reason, they didn't want to look at that. But I'm just saying that we must think outside the box. We can't always just think that because we didn't get a hotel downtown, that we have to make it something else.
Thank you, Ms. Marcus. We got a rebuttal from Mr. Thompson.
I don't have a rebuttal, I just have a comment.
Okay.
As I was telling you earlier, we had a transit summit in the transit building about a month ago, and I think it was Mr. Garvey that made two important points that I want to bring to everybody's attention. They are looking into having a designated bus to go to Segra Stadium for baseball games. They are looking into having dedicated buses to take you to major events downtown, whether it's the Dogwood Festival or a concert that gives you round-trip transportation. They are already looking into transportation that can take you back and forth to the airport because we don't have public transportation to take you to the airport. And sometimes we have soldiers stranded there looking for a way to get to Fort Bragg. So those are the things that the transit is always aware of, and they're looking into those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Earlier I didn't ask for a rebuttal, but I think it's important to point out that we did have one person here say how important it is, our work with PwC. And I just want to point out that about 5 years ago, they tried to sell PwC. They said it wasn't even worth keeping it as our community, that we could go underneath Duke Energy, and then we would have all been paying astronomical charges because we're nobody to Duke. And the truth of it is that that was only a maneuver actually to try to waste our utility and our monies.
Thank you. Ms. Jensen, do you have a response?
I do have a rebuttal. So the statement that you made that 5 years ago, I don't know who they is that tried to sell me WC. I was on the council and PWC was not trying to be sold. So if,
The city wanted to sell.
so when you say the city wants to sell them, I will tell you on the council, that was never brought to a vote. That was never, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the council was not trying to sell PWC.
You might want to do an internet search on that.
I lived in Maine.
It is now time for closing statements. Everyone will get 1 minute for a closing statement. Thank you all for attending tonight. And we'll start with you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. So before I get started on my closing statement, you know, I've done this a long time. I did it. I didn't want to be in politics. I got in it, and I learned that I enjoyed it, and I learned that I could make a difference. You hear a lot of things out in the public. You hear it on social media. Everybody, you know, no matter how thin you slice a cake, there's two sides to every story. So I just want to make sure that when we throw things out, that we know what we're saying. So with that being said, you know, this is my home. I was grown up here, I was raised here, and I've worked every day to make it stronger and harder. I want to make sure that we are connected. If anybody has seen my journey through the city of Fayetteville, you know that the youth are my passion. And it takes 20 years to change where they feel that they can do. My time is up, so it is the youth and the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Grace.
Thank you, Kathy Greggs for District 7. I want to thank Common Cause for hosting this forum, and Lisette Rodriguez, as well as Angela Tatum, as well as Sean McMillan and Dr. Val that actually got the OCS entered into our city council. So we're talking about OCS, but these people actually walked around, got surveys, went door to door to make sure we had this program. So let's give credit to where credit is due, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I want to make sure that we understand that even though if I don't get in office, I will continue the work that I've been doing voluntarily regardless. And I did request no salary, and I'm going to continue to mentor people like James Thomas so they can come in these seats, because guess what? We need to move out the way. You got to teach someone, mentor someone, and as an adult, me being 48 years old, I need to move out the way to allow the youth to come into these seats. But I want them to trust that they can come here. Getting mentorship from like County Commissioner Kurt Deviere, which, you know, I have worked with him for many years, and so has my nonprofit. And he answers his phone at 4 a.m., by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McMillan.
Sean McMillan, District 8. Let me start with a quote. Justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love. Power is at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. That's MLK. And in terms of how we stand for love, we have some work to do here in Fayetteville. We have some work to do to have a government, to have a council, to have policies that reflect our commitment to each other and commitment to love. I hope that I have the opportunity as District 8 council member to bring that spirit to the council. I hope that I am not alone in that. I hope that as we continue to build power as a community, as organizers, that we have more people who are really putting community first, who are implementing the demands of love and justice in all things that we do. When I say all of us or none, I really do mean the poorest people in Fayetteville. I really do mean the most persecuted people in our society, trans people, immigrant people. I really do think that we can do more to make sure that all of us are none.
Thank you. Mr. Delvin.
Rodney Garvin, District 8. First thing I want to say is I'm very thankful for this opportunity. I believe in transparency. I think that the only way that we'll ever be able to succeed in this city is if we continue to work together, if we offer transparency, to actually discuss the ideas and get them out to the public and work from there. We have to use the bright minds that are in the city in order to be the best one available. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes.
Earlier, I pointed out Commissioner Adams. It's only fair I point out Chairman Kurt Deviere in the back. He snuck in as well. I want to go back to transit just for a moment. The key to transit is density. And the way we unlock density, we have to look at planning reform, we have to look at zoning reform. Again, we visited, council has as a whole, Capitol Hill to meet with our federal delegation, Raleigh to meet with our state delegation, chaired FAMBA, I've served on PwC Commission, I've served on the UDO Commission, Stormwater, PwC Audit, nonprofits, of course, my church, St. Hills Salvation Army, the Greater Fayetteville Chamber, the Home Builders, the Local Association of Realtors, the Economic Development Chair, legislation. We've been serving, and I hope the residents of District 9 deem us worthy of another 2 years of service. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, when I was 13, from the ages 13 to 16, I worked in recreation centers being a counselor and trainer, mentoring the youth. From the ages 16 to 18, I was vice chair of the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council, where we worked with city council and county commissioners, learning what state, local, and national government is, how that operates, and work in the community. And from 2019 on, I was the youth advisor for Fayetteville Platinum under Ms. Kathy Griggs and Sean McMillan. So when we talk about experience, I feel like I have it, and the things that I lack in experience, I make up for in integrity, I make up for in communication with the community, I make up for with transparency, and I make up for by knowing it takes a village. And that includes not just the nonprofits that we donate to, not just the people we have sitting at this chair, but every single one of you in your seats right now. So I would appreciate if you guys let me take the lead and vote me to be the candidate for District 1. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm Gail Morfassis, running for District 2, and I just want to say that I feel that everyone is important, everyone's vote counts. You really need to get out and let your voice be heard, because we need change. We need to make our city great. And we have a wonderful city to start with. We have such diversity. Because of Fort Bragg, we have many peoples here, and everyone needs to feel included, and everyone needs to feel that their voice is heard and that they're listened to. And so I really feel that with my, I took early retirement from the UNC system. I have worked with non-for-profits for years. I know a lot of people that do a lot of non-for-profit work, and I am ready to be your community servant, your public servant, that is there for you to try to help you get a better life, a better tax bill, that we are using our resources properly and well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Well, once again, thank you all for having us today. I am encouraged by the panelists that you have up here. Because in order for you to try to obtain this position, you have to have a servant's heart. And I am thankful that we have everybody up here that want to sacrifice just a little bit of themselves to get back to you guys. But I also want you to remember that Fayetteville is on the move. A lot of people have not seen the things that has yet to expire, that have yet to be inspired by the council on how we're going to move forward. There are things in the pipeline that's going to make Fayetteville grow astronomically. We have come to the point where we are partnering. We're partnering with the county. We're partnering with the school board. We're partnering with the hospital to make Fayetteville the best Fayetteville it can be. And that's what I believe we all want to strive for it to see. A safe, prosperous, economic development, growth, housing growth, everything that you all asked for and asked questions about today is what everybody here hopes for. So let's make sure we strive to get there. Thank you very much.
Please join me in thanking all the candidates. The candidates are also excused while the announcements from the sponsoring organizations.
Thank you everybody for coming. Don't forget, early voting is happening now. If you still don't know what district you're in, we have a nice little board over here where you can check your voter registration, check out what city council district you're in, and hope you guys have a safe night.